What's up, guys? This is Network, and we're back with another video. And today we're talking about our CPNs Dead. And this is the network, and this video is educational purposes only. And I get a lot of people asking about CPNs, and a lot of people have just kind of got disinterested in the topic in the past few years, just assuming that CPNs don't work the way that they used to work. And a lot of people are misinformed about this issue, so I'm just trying to go into some details about what happens with CPNs and why sometimes people believe that they don't operate the way that they used to. And partly that is true, but it's reasons for that. So why are people asking if CPNs are dead? So for the past few years, many individuals have been debating the topic of CPNs and the validity of their approvals at CPN-friendly locations and merchants. There are questions about whether CPNs functions uniformly, with some people outright believing they do not. So several reasons contribute to this belief, some of which are accurate while others are based on misunderstanding. So today we will delve into this discussion in the video. So guys, a lot of this stuff is just based on people having bad form. So a lot of people don't really understand what they're doing and why they are doing it. So obviously, if something is not as cut and dry as it used to be a time where you could just do one or two or three steps at the most. You do the three steps, and then you input the information, and then you just get a flat out approval. That's not how CPNs work anymore, guys. And this is educational purposes only, guys. I'm just educating you guys on what's happening out there with CPNs. But you can't just run these things and run them into the ground and then start over, run them into the ground. That's not how it works anymore, guys. And it's not the function of it anyway. And I'm going to try to discuss to you and try to paint the picture for you so you can understand how these can be profitable, how they can be useful to you. But it's just not the same as it used to be. So what has changed with CPN? So many aspects have evolved over the years, yet several fundamentals remain unchanged. So the original method for creating a CPN is still largely the same. In the past, when CPNs were less widely recognized, individuals could create CPN files that weren't properly tested or integrated into the public records, leading to approvals despite their flaws. So this is the big issue right here, guys. People were getting approvals and they didn't know what they were doing. So a lot of people were creating files based off of information on people who didn't really know what they were talking about, or they learned from somebody who didn't necessarily fully teach them what they were actually doing. And a lot of people just don't understand what they're doing. So they're just doing what somebody else said to do. So when you do that, then you make mistakes. And when you make mistakes, you start to think that it's something wrong with the overall process, but it's actually something wrong with your process because something wrong with the process that the person taught you. So this has resulted in many people constructing files incorrectly, which is not conducive to a successful profile. So constructing the file is everything, guys. And a lot of people have lost the art of investing in what they're doing. So people just want something for nothing. And if you want something for nothing, then you're probably not going to be able to build a file that will actually be useful in 2025, guys, because this is not the time where you can be uneducated about what you're doing and still just so happen to stumble upon some type of approvals and things like that. So while the process of building a CPN has shifted, the way individuals approach file creation has also changed significantly. People today tend to be less patient and often adopt a quick turn and burn strategy rather than nurturing the file and developing it into a legitimate credit profile. As you can see, the mindset has given rise to numerous complications. So a lot of people are having these issues, but they don't understand that they never built the file in the correct way possible. And we could go back to the basics of the basics, and that's the CPN Bible. The CPN Bible always talks about all these different steps that you need to do to go through the process of building a CPN. And a lot of people look at the CPN Bible as old, ancient information, and it's not what you need to do. You don't have to do this, you don't have to do that. And that's where you guys went wrong. That's where most people went wrong, because you started building the files in a way that was adjacent to the actual way to build files. So that's when you run into issues. So there have been adjustments based on companies being knowledgeable about these files. So also, there is a slight disadvantage that people do have in these times, because there are companies that have become knowledgeable about CPN files and how they're getting approvals. And it's not that they're necessarily knowledgeable about CPN files, it's that they are now seeing the things that are the same within the file. So if a file looks this way, then it might be or it might not be, but we're just not going to approve it because it looks this certain way. So we'll talk about this. So to clarify, adjustments have been made by companies due to their awareness of CPNs and the misuse of these numbers, which can lead to significant losses within these companies. So these companies, of course, they're going to adjust. So as a result, companies are adapting their strategies. The landscape surrounding CPN files is constantly evolving, especially in relation to credit approvals. So once a company identifies a trend in credit approvals, it doesn't matter where the files originate or how they are generated. If the files they share similarities, like I was just talking about, if they're similar to other files that they have been already experiencing losses with, the company will flag them as a security concern and initiate further verification. And usually with security concerns, Further verification mitigates these issues. So to minimize security issues with CPN files, it's crucial that each file is distinct from others. So you don't want files that look just like every other CPN file. If you don't, like, guys, 2025 is going to be the year that you have to separate yourself from other people. You have to separate yourself from doing things like everybody else. This isn't the time where you could literally take exactly what somebody told you to do and do it exactly how they told you to do it. Now, in certain areas, that is a way that works. But this video is educational purposes only as well, guys. But in certain areas that works, but in certain areas that doesn't work. If everybody's doing the same thing, then obviously there are going to be a lot of people who aren't happy with the results. So a CPN file should be as unique as any other credit file available in the market. So the more unique the file, the higher the chances of approval. So guys, there are algorithms. There are algorithms that look at CPN and credit files, and they look at the files and they see that certain files are looking the exact same. And what do I mean by the same? So let's get into that. What makes a file unique? So let's talk about uniqueness and what makes a file the same, so you can kind of get what I'm talking about. So to grasp what sets a CPN apart, it's essential to recognize how it resembles other CPNs. Many people, as I mentioned earlier, adopt the turn and burn approach, focusing on quickly assembling a file just to liquidate it as fast as possible for immediate profit. Instead of treating it as a credit file and investing time and paying bills associated with it, some view this process as an unnecessary investment of time or money. Consequently, many individuals consider CPN files to be unworthy of any investment. This mindset is problematic. If you expect to spend little or no money on your CPN file, it will ultimately be indistinguishable from all the others, guys. And this is the issue. You can't just do these simple tasks anymore and expect to get approvals, guys. It's too much. It's too many files. It's too many files looking the same. And it's too many files looking the same, trying to do the same thing. So you have to keep all these things in mind, guys. This video is educational purposes only. So what makes a file unique? Most files begin with authorized user trade lines, typically after including only a few public records. In fact, many files don't even bother to add public records anymore, guys. Instead, people just often focus on merging their file, ensuring that basic information is present in the data collection agency, and then adding a standard authorized user trade line to their credit file, and then they just try to go get an approval. And that's just not going to work like that anymore, guys. It's not even close to a good way to think that you're going to do anything with a file. A typical credit profile in this situation would resemble that of someone with little to no credit history, possibly reflecting their parents' authorized user line, which could make it look similar to a teenager's credit profile, guys. So you have to think about this stuff critically. If you have a credit profile that has no history, barely any public records, and you have no credit, basically. You have no actual primary lines. The only lines that you have is a line that somebody else gave you, which is an authorized user line. Then you literally look like a teenager's credit profile. So what teenagers that you know are walking around with $5,000 approvals, $6,000 approvals? Like, it literally doesn't make sense. So for someone to say CPNs are dead because they're walking around with a credit profile that resembles a child's credit profile, then they don't understand the process. And that's what people are running into this issue because they don't understand the process. But more so, people don't want to understand that they have to spend money on the process. And it's not just money. Sometimes you don't have to spend money. Sometimes if you spend the time, there were times where I wasn't in a position to spend any money on a profile or spend any money on anything. So I would just use my time to build my files. There's plenty of things you can do for absolutely free to build a CPN file. So if you consider who actually approves teenagers for significant amounts of credit, it raises an interesting question. Please note that this video is educational purposes only. So how to set your file apart from the rest. So to begin, it's essential to accurately merge your credit files. Always ensure that the 3 credit bureaus you utilize are reporting to all 3 agencies. So once again, guys, this is just time. This isn't even money that we're talking about. This is time and dedication to what you're doing. So dedicate 1 application to Equifax, 1 to TransUnion, and 1 to Experian. This approach establishes a comprehensive setup that mirrors any standard credit file. Most individuals don't possess a TransUnion score while having a 0 score on Equifax. This disparity fails to portray a unique credit file. So you don't want to score on one and then don't have a score on the other. That doesn't make any sense, guys. It doesn't look like a credit file. It looks like a child's file, or maybe someone who accidentally ended up with a credit score, but they are incarcerated or something, guys. You don't want to look like you were incarcerated or your child. So instead, it may appear as an inexperienced credit profile, which could easily be mistaken for someone lacking credit experience, regardless of the trade lines present on the file. So how to make sure that you are tri-merged on all 3 bureaus. So once again, we're going to just go over this real quick. To ensure that your application is reported to all 3 credit bureaus when creating your CPN, start by conducting a Google search to identify companies that report to TransUnion, Equifax, and Experian. You'll need to obtain 1 application for each bureau for your CPN startup. Once you have all 3, proceed with your application. So guys, it's a quick Google search. This is not money we're talking about, once again, because I hate the fact that people always think that they need money to do everything. And you don't need a lot of money to do everything. You just need time and dedication. And I was telling a lot of people in my chat about this because a lot of people have complaints all the time and they want to just put everything on someone else to be able to have success. And that's not how the world works, guys. You have to put time into these processes and understand what you're doing. If you don't understand what you're doing, then just say that. If you don't understand, you can tell someone you don't understand what you're doing. And if you start asking the right questions, then you can move on to actually knowing the answer and doing the right actions. So once you have all three, proceed with your applications. Additionally, it's important to have a reliable email address as you build these files. This way, you can monitor your email for any correspondence from the companies confirming that you are included in their database. If you receive an email, it indicates that they have begun collecting data on your file. So the emails are a prime example of a paper trail starting to be created. Once that paper trail is being created, then you're added to the email list. And if you're in the email list, then you're most likely in their database, which is the data collection, which is part of the tri-merging process and part of public records. So, however, if you do not receive any communication, it means your application has probably been discarded because it probably looks like every other CPN created ever. So, and your CPN will not be properly tri-merged. But the common issue people face is being approved through Credit Karma, even though they are not properly tri-merged. So this leads to problems like low approvals, such as a $50 at Verizon, for instance. I've been seeing a lot of people get low approvals like that at Verizon. This is educational purposes only as well. But I've been seeing a lot of people get low approvals like that, and they're wondering if it's something wrong with them or the file, but it's like you aren't doing anything else to your file. You're getting the file, and then you're just trying to just use it immediately. And there's things that need to be done to files, guys. You can Google these things to help out your file. So then you want to move on to public records and trade lines. So public records are often the most critical step that many people overlook when creating a CPN. So while it's possible to skip this step and still be successful and establish a profile and even secure some approvals, complications arise when verification is required. So some systems may struggle to locate your information, and certain departments may not recognize a CPN as a legitimate credit account in general, since they prefer public records on a file. They need to have unique credit profiles because they are, a lot of the time, people don't realize that credit approvals at apartments are a lot more difficult at times, because they usually have people specifically looking at these files. They aren't using some type of computer. They are using a computer system to kind of give a basic approval, but then they take a look at these things themselves. So you need to make these files look unique, and there's ways to do that. And we're going to talk more into detail about these things, but I got to keep these videos as short as possible. But we're going to go more into details. If you have any questions, you can message us in the link below. Telegram, follow us on Telegram. We're probably going to be moving over to another site soon too, because Telegram is starting to get shaky. So public records can be obtained manually, and I'll provide a list in the description of places where you can access basic public records. Additionally, you can utilize a bot to gather public records, and we can assist you with that at our network. Just click the link below. When it comes to trade lines, ensure you have both primary and authorized user lines with a preference for Chase trade lines. Chase trade lines are advantageous because they report history, which is crucial. So having history is far more important than anything else on this file. So as is often what CPNs lack the most. So most CPNs, they just don't have any history at all, and they're trying to get approvals for things, and they don't have any history on the file, don't have any public records, and aren't even properly tri-merged. And then they're going in basically looking like a maimed dog and then trying to get approved, and it's just not going to happen. So once again, guys, thanks for watching. Click the link below to subscribe to our Telegram channel for updates, request same-day file methods, or the same-day files. Same-day files are going to be some of the best files going right now. If you want to move quickly, if you want to, once again, build the files out in a way that's the proper way, the most the biggest approvals and things like that, then you're going to have to build the files in that way. And we can help you do that, guys. We do that whole process here at the network. Just click the link below and we can discuss that. And don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the videos, guys, so we can keep this going. And we'll see you on the next one.